Hey folks, this is Meredith from the Papery Craftery, and today I'm going to be grabbing one of my favorite quilling tools, the quilling comb, to make 3 different leaves. And to do that I just grabbed 3 different colors of green quilling paper. I have a meadow green, I have a leaf green, and then a dark green. Of course you can use whatever color you wish. I just did them in different colors so they would be easy to identify. You're going to need your quilling comb. This is what mine looks like, but there are longer ones and some that are just slightly different. I always use a needle tool with my quilling comb. I have plain Elmer's glue in my bottle and then a work board with some pins, and that's going to come in handy later. The first leaf we're going to make is what I'm going to call the long tapered leaf, and I just used them in my demonstration photos for the Forget-Me-Nots post, which I will link up above right now in case you missed that one. This one I'm going to be using 22-inch long paper, but any size will do because you're going to need a few different strips. So if you do have shorter paper, that's okay. And in case anybody's wondering, this is 1/8 inch paper in width. So to start off with, if you've seen any of my quilling comb videos before, I always use a needle tool to make what I call an anchor. This is not something you see on every quilling comb tutorial. I just think it makes a nice starting point and it keeps your paper on the quilling comb a little bit easier. All I do is wrap one end around a couple times, 2 or 3, and then take it off my needle tool. I'm sliding that anchor around the middle tine of my quilling comb, somewhere around the middle. It depends on how big your quilling comb is, where your middle is obviously, but mine's somewhere around the 6th or 7th. And I have my tail to the back. I'm going to go down 1 tooth, pull it back to the front, go up to 1, and pull it back to the back again. And then I'm going to add another one. So now I have 2, and going back to the top, add another one on that side. So I have the anchor in the middle, and now 2 teeth on either side. And I'm going to keep doing this until I get 6 on either side of the center. So just back and forth, around and around, until I get to 6. And because of my shape of my quilling comb, it actually ends up being that very last one. I'm going to hold everything in place. Should look something like that. And I'm going to tear off any excess and apply some glue to keep that shape in place. After a second or two, your glue should be set enough that you can take that piece of quilling paper off of your comb and it should stay. It's alright if it kind of bulges out a little bit. It's not going to stay super tight, and that's fine. We're going to do a very similar step again, but this time instead of 6 loops on either side of the center, we're going to do 5 loops on either side of the center. So again, to start off, I'm going to make an anchor by twirling around a needle tool a few times and aiming for somewhere around the middle again. This time, like I said, going back and forth just the same way as the first time, but only doing 5 loops on either side of the center. And just like that first strip with the 6 loops, we're going to glue the end, let it set for a moment, and pull it off the tool. And then we're going to do another very similar situation, except instead of 6 or 5 loops on either side, you might have guessed, we are going to do 4 loops on either side of the anchor. Finish this one in the same way and then take that off your tool as well. You are going to want to make 2 of each size that I've shown so far. So 2 that have 6 loops on both sides, 2 that have 5, and then 2 that have 4. And just in case you missed all of that, I did make a little chart here that says what size each should be. So the 2 in the middle are long, and then it goes to 5 on either side of that, and then 4. So in case you missed any of those measurements, you'll want to pause the video on the back and just make some notes for yourself. And now we're going to start assembling our leaf. And I'm going to knock them all over there. I'm going to assemble one side of the leaf and then the other. So I'm going to start with the small ones, and I'm going to glue the next larger size to that, and then the longest one to those 2. So holding the smallest one, and these look fragile, but they're really not. They're pretty sturdy. You can hold them. I'm going to put a little bit of glue end to end, and you do want to make sure that you do get all the way to the end of the smallest one you're gluing, because sometimes if you don't, you get a little weird little gap where it doesn't stay down, and that's not fun. And try to aim so that the center anchors are kind of level with each other. And I'm not worrying too much right now about smushing these where the glue meets together too much, and we're going to get to that in just a second. To add the next larger one, I go again, glue all the way end to end on the small piece, trying to line up the anchors. And now that they're all 3 together, I'm going to start kind of smoothing them out, pushing in the center just a little bit to kind of flatten it, because it will want to bow out a little bit on you. And then going all the way to the end and pinching down just to make it really tapered. And that is 1/2 of the long taper leaf. You're going to glue the other 3 pieces together in the exact same way. After you have both halves done, you can glue these 2 halves together, and it really is the same process to glue both halves together. The important thing is just making sure you do get glue from end to end. And I just do the same thing, gently kind of holding it in the middle, because I don't want to smush all of those loops that I make completely. That's the fun of using the quilling comb, is you can still sort of see those shapes, but just gently going end to end and making sure that my glue is adhering all the way down. If for some reason you think that your glue really isn't going to hold while you're using your fingers, or you just really don't feel like holding it that long, quite frankly, you can use some pins like I'm doing here to really pinch those ends together. It helps if you kind of cross them a little bit, and that will really get the ends all the way together. You can leave that to dry for a moment, and when they're done, you can shape these a little bit if you want to. You can just have them go straight up and down, or you can really give them a curve to either end just to make them a little bit more like lifelike and kind of natural swaying leaves in the breeze, whatever you think is best. The next leaf is going to be a similar process to the long tapered leaf, but instead of being long and skinny, it's going to kind of have a wider bottom and then get skinnier towards the top, almost like an upside down heart. So to start off, just like we did before, we're going to make an anchor on a needle tool, and I'm going to aim in the middle somewhere. This leaf isn't going to be as large, so the middle isn't as important, but somewhere around that area. And then using the same maneuver that I did on the last leaf, you're going to pull the strip from the back to the front, adding on a new tooth every time. This one, like I said, because it's smaller, we're going to start off with the anchor plus 3 on either side. You're going to add some glue, and then you're going to take this, this paper off of your quilling comb. And then the next part is where it gets a little bit tricky. But again, if you miss any of these steps, I did make a little graph after this shape as well, and you can pause, take notes, screenshot, whatever you want to do, and hopefully that will help with the measurements. So we're going to do the same thing as before, roll a little bit on the tool, take it off, and go somewhere in the middle. This time though, we are doing like an oblong situation. We're going to go down 1 and then up 1. And then we're going to go back down to do another one. So now we have 2 on the bottom and then 2 on the top. And then we're going to go back to the same place we just went for that 2. We're not going to add 1. We're going to go right back to 2. But we are going to add 1 on the other side. We're going to go up 1 to 3. So now we have 2 on one side and 3 on the other. Just like that. 1, 2, center. And then 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and rip your tail and add some glue. And that side is done. This next one is going to be an anchor in the center and then 2 loops on either side. So we're back to making an even one again. So 1, 2, and then another one on both sides. That's all for that. Go ahead and glue that and then take it off your tool. And this last one is going to go real fast because it's pretty small, but it's going to be another uneven one like we did a couple times ago. We're going to go down 1, add 1 on the other side. There we go. Add 1 on the other side, back down, go in the same place that we did the 1. We're not going to add any on this end, but we are going to add another one to the top. So now we have 2 on one side and then the anchor and then only 1. So here's the diagram for this leaf. In the center, you can see it says anchor plus 3 loops on each side. On either side of that, you're going to make 2 that are the same. They're both going to be 3 loops on one side and then 2 on the other. And then next to that one, they get a little bit smaller. That one is the 2 loops on either side. And then on the ends of both sides of this leaf are the really tiny ones where you went up 2 and then down 1. Again, I hope this makes sense. This was the easiest way I could think of doing this without making a whole blog post about it, which I may do in the future, but I didn't want everybody to wait on that. I hope This is enough. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, but take a screenshot, make some notes. Once you get the hang of it, it will make sense. Once you have all of your pieces for this leaf, you can go ahead and start building it. Instead of starting from the small ends and going bigger like we did in the last one, this time I'm going to start in the middle and go to the ends. So first I need the one piece that has 3 loops on either end, the longest one. And I'm going to do glue from the bottom to almost the top. And again, this one's going to be smaller, so it's not going to be all the way to the end. But I want the bottoms to more or less line up together. And, whoop. Got away from me there. I don't need to press this down too much because I'm going to form it towards the end. I just want to make sure that they all sort of stay in place. And then I'm going to go the next smallest size, trying to line them up more or less towards the bottom. And then this is going to be the smallest one. So it's hard to see because they don't have a lot of weight in the middle, but that's what it should sort of look like before you smush it into place. And then I'm going to start shaping it by really tapering down the top, and then the bottom won't move as much because there's a lot more paper on that end. That's half of this shape. We'll call it the heart shape leaf, just to be easy. It's not going to be exactly like a heart, but it's close. And once you have 1/2 of that heart leaf done, you can go ahead and glue the other pieces on the same way. You only have the one center that you've already used, so you're just going to flip your leaf shape over, and you should have 3 pieces left. You're going to go from largest to smallest, making sure that you line up the bottoms so that it tapers a little bit towards the top. And that's pretty much what you're looking for. I probably should have used clear glue for this because you can see the glue is it's drying a little bit more opaque than I wanted it to, but that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. And these work really well in clumps together. They're not maybe leaves that you would just see one of here and there. So I just made one little stack where I glued them together so you could see what I meant by that. That's all. Might seem like a lot of work when I'm laying it down here on the video, and 2 loops here, 1 loop there. But as you're doing it, it goes really quickly once you get the hang of it, and once you remember how to count the teeth on your comb and which way to go. It goes a lot faster, so don't let that discourage you. Anyway, so for the next leaf, we are going to do sort of a fern shape, and this is the easiest of the 3. I did save this till last. I like this one a lot. This one's really fun. I'm going to be using, this is the meadow green. This is a really pretty bright kind of a Kelly green. This strip is also one of the 22-inch strips. It won't really matter for any of these, just in case sometimes people ask me that question. But just like the rest of the parts of this tutorial, I'm starting off with an anchor on my comb, but this time I'm going to go and put it right on the bottom. It's a different way of using your quilling comb. I'm going to be looping them straight up instead of back and forth. So I'm going up 1, the tail goes back behind it again, up another 1, tail goes back behind again, and then 3, and 4. And that's as big as this leaf part's going to get, but I wanted to add a little bit of a weight to it to make it a little bit bulkier. So I end up decided to just loop 2 more, goes around the same spot, that 4th tooth, not adding any more length to it. I just wanted it to be a little bit heavier. So that's what that should look like. And then you can go ahead and tear off your end and apply some glue. These leaves are actually going to form right when you take them off of your quilling comb. You bend one over your thumb and pinch the end, so you're getting sort of a curved teardrop look. We're going to need quite a few of these pieces for this fern. That one that I just made with the 4 loops going up, you're actually going to need 4 of those. This next shape is going to be exactly the same, but instead of 4 loops going up, we're only going to do 3. And you are going to need 2 of those. And there's the 3rd loop. Just like with the 4 loop one, we're going to do an extra couple of go arounds in the same exact spot to give a little bit extra weight to this, and tear off any extra glue. Take it off your quilling comb, and then you're going to shape it exactly the same way. Bend it over a finger or a tool if that's easier, and pinch the end to make it look like a curved sort of a drop shape. The last set of little leaves for this fern branch is going to be made exactly the same way, but instead of 4 loops or 3 loops, we're just going to be doing 2 loops this time. So at this point, you should pretty much have the hang of all of this. Make your anchor, and then we're just going to go up 1, and then up 2, and just like the rest of this plant, we're going to give 2 more loops in the same area to give it a little bit more bulk, and then tear off any excess and glue. For this size, we're going to be making 3 that are exactly the same. 2 of them you're going to want to shape and pinch the end just like before, give it a little bit of a curve, but then one of them, don't give the curve at all. Just give it a little bit of a pinch to make a point, and then you're going to leave that one kind of straight up and down. So here is the last diagram for the last leaf, and for this one I'm going to have a straight center line. So I did include that here, but I haven't shown how to make that. And then on either side of that you have 2 rows of the 4 loops, then above that the 3 loop, and then above that you'll have the 2 loops that were bent, and then the one that wasn't bent will be right at the top. For the stem, I just used a double thick piece of that same color green, and I show how to do that a lot of different videos, one being the on edge quilling video, which I'll link up here. But once I get that dry, I found it's easiest to kind of prop this up with some pins on a workboard, and then I just start gluing my my little fern bits to the little middle stem there. So I'm going to show how to do that, but it's pretty easy. Don't be afraid to use pins to prop things up. There's no shame in that. It's totally okay. It's what they're here for. You can see here I actually had to use pins to hold up my stem in a few different places because it kind of wanted to bend over, and that is, again, totally fine. You're not going to be able to tell when you're all done. So once I had my center piece all lined up and I glued my top little leaf on, then it's just a matter of lining everybody up. And I just want to note for this fern, the ones I did are just an example. If you want to do more of these, make them bigger and make a really large fern leaf or palm frond or however you want to call this. If you want to make it a different size, it's totally okay. This is just a starting point, just to show you a different way to make leaves using your quilling comb. So go crazy. Make this your own. I think this design is my favorite of the three. I really like the straight stem look down the middle here, but if you need to curve yours, you can just run your needle tool down the side, kind of like you're curling a ribbon, and that will give a different look to these ferns as well. If any of this seems really confusing or you're not that familiar with using a quilling comb, I do have a basics of using a quilling comb video that I will link above right now. You might want to check that out first. In the meantime, I'd love to hear how you're going to use these leaves in the comments down below. They would look beautiful with a big flower spray, but I kind of like the idea of just making just a straight green image and framing that. I'd like just that botanical look, just really fresh and clean, I think is really fun too. So also any questions you might have, let me know so I can answer those as soon as I can. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.